Well, oh no, a car's coming. Oh no, Bruce is approaching me. That's the story right there. It's a car. Hold on, y'all. Come back now, you hear? Hold on. Of a guy named Justin. Hey, everybody. I'm here with Turkey.
Olay!
Oh, hey. Um, you guys have been waiting to know what that big story we're working on. Well, we're in Philadelphia, Mississippi. In 1964, three civil rights activists, Michael Schwerner, James Chaney, and Andrew Goodman, were on a mission. They wanted to get members of the black community to vote. They also wanted to investigate the local Klan here that was ran by a sheriff at the time, a preacher, and several other people. You'll know that movie is commemorated through Mississippi Burning. We found out facts that had never been before released. We've talked to families from both the victims and the suspects. We've even talked to the living widow of Michael Schwerner. And what we've found in this town is some of the most racist behavior we've seen. In fact, one person you're about to meet, we asked her and she said, it's just racial indifference. When referring to a man being chain whipped, beaten, murdered, and castrated on the side of the road, it was racial indifference. So we're back. Hello, good to see you again. We're back. I got to do a records request with that lady over there. That's Nikki, right? Okay, yeah, I got to do a records request with her. I'm just going to use this. I got this right here. This works.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
I'm just going to use a piece of paper. Thank you, Nikki.
You're gonna have to use the full.
Nikki, I'm going to use whatever I want and whatever I please. So don't tell me what I'm going to do and try and assert your authority. You've had a lot of violations of records request and records request laws around here. Okay, you only have a form because you tried pulling that with someone else. So when we came in here earlier talking about those freedom movers, freedom murders, and the poor people that lost their lives, what did you do? It's on video. You got up, you stormed out of your office, and you shook your head. So you can keep your tyranny, you could shine it up real nice, you could turn it sideways and put it somewhere. I'll let you use your imagination where. Thank you for being professional. I'm sick and tired of this undercover racism in this town.
You won't find it here. You have no idea what's going on.
Ma'am, I found plenty of it here. We referred to
anywhere, but in this office you have not found that. Here.
Ma'am,
Here's our policy
about
and
40
the request
ma'am,
right here.
ma'am, 45 minutes ago, did we refer to the castration and murder of three men as indifference?
I don't know what you refer it to.
You don't. I can pull up the video, you're in it. We were here about 45 minutes ago. I didn't say you did, I said, do you remember it happening?
I do remember it happening.
Okay, so let's not play dumb. You're doing a great job without acting.
Ooh.
What else you got to say? Because you're about to make yourself look famous. You're going to be out of a job soon, new mayor coming in. What else you got for me? Because I'm in no mood to suffer idiocy right now.
We aren't either.
Then you should probably stop talking amongst each other. You won't have to suffer the idiocy. What do you got for me? I'm filling it out on this. I don't care about your form.
I'm not worried about a phone.
Okay, so what do you need that you're now approaching me?
I was going to apologize for the way that I left.
Okay, you shouldn't apologize to me. I got the names of family members you can apologize to.
It had nothing to do with you or what you were coming in here for.
Really? Because everyone that I speak to, I bring up these murders, and what do they say? It's in the past.
May I finish?
Well, I is a word that you use selectively, so please go ahead.
It has to do with personal things going on in my life right now.
Okay.
That has nothing to do. You could have come in here asking about chocolate cake with your videos on.
I came in here very polite last time, and now you're cutting me. I heard you, right? I heard you out, and I'm sorry if you're having personal troubles, but
And it
not
has to do with
just
stresses in my life.
not just.
I can't handle any more stress.
Okay. You know what? I feel like the family of these murder victims said the same thing, and I came in here, and you know what this young lady told me? I can replay the video if you like. I said, he said in an elevator pitch, can you tell me what happened with these murders? You keep interrupting me. And the way that it works is you spoke, I listen. Now I speak and you can listen. And if that's not something that works or is appropriate to you, then your office is right there. I suggest finding your way back to it.
What are you trying to accomplish?
I have been asking every white person I can find in this town what they know about these murders. And the answer I get from every single one of those people, I'm not saying that you were, and I didn't say you had anything to do with it or your family did. I'm just asking about it, and everyone says, that's in the past. And then there was a young lady, a black police officer that was in here, and she was disgusted by your answer. A man literally had his testicles cut from his body. He was chain whipped while he watched his friends shot in the heart and murdered. You called that racial indifference. An indifference is if I think my shoes are nicer than yours. She can speak for her. She can speak for herself. And if you want to try that game, you're not taller than my camera.
You seem like you know a lot for something
I
you said
will
you didn't know
apologize
anything
to the
about.
officer if I need to, but that is the way I feel about it.
I know the way you feel about it because I spoke to someone over at the
It means
sheriff's
nothing to
department.
me. At this point in life, it means nothing.
It doesn't.
to
The
me.
murder, well, someone at the sheriff's department said that they're not surprised with the way that you answered that question. There's some racial tensions
Yes.
that, and you and that
I'll be sure
officer,
and call over there and see which one of my friends said that.
yeah, they said that you're on different sides of the fence, that you have some racial leanings. Is that true?
You know what? You can't make me talk.
I can't. That's right. You can exercise your right to remain silent. That might have worked for you in the beginning. There's families around here. Everyone wants to talk about all the good things. They want to talk about the house party you got going on. They want to talk about the Stewart Museum. But the very moment, and the black community doesn't want to forget it. They want it to be remembered so it doesn't happen again. But you talk to anyone in the white community, it's in the past. I have video footage of speaking to everyone in this town that works here, and there's not one white person that was willing and ready to sit down and talk to me about it. Not even at the district attorney's office, because I've been there too. I went through all the case files. And I wonder if I go through those case files and I use my private investigator, how many of the 19 names that were named in that might be related to people that are currently working in this town? Spoiler alert, I have the answers to those questions already. And there are several members of the town that work either in the county buildings or the city buildings that have direct relations to the 19 people that were accused, and one specifically of the 6 that were actually convicted. Huh? What did you tell me when I came in here? You said to go online and do my research. Maybe you should do the same.
Anything. I did not say a word. Look back at the video.
It was very nice when I came in here before, and then I found out that you guys lie and you make excuses, and now I'm all done with it.
Have you spoken to our mayor?
No, I have not spoken to your mayor. Why?
Would you like to?
What's the name of the mayor?
James Young.
James Young. He's the one that, right, he's lost in the primary. If you'd like to speak to me, he's more than welcome to.
He's got someone with him at the moment. But he would be glad to.
I'm just
He's an open book.
wondering.
Was he involved somehow? Like, could he add to my story? I mean, I've asked the same questions.
I wasn't either, but you sure don't mind asking.
Well, no, ma'am, you have from what I'm told from other city employees, that you have a very specific view on this. And
What city?
Well, you wanna know what was said?
protected sources, someone that works within the sheriff's department knew you, and in fact, when I went into the sheriff's department, I explained your comment specifically without giving your name or giving a detailed description of what you look like, and he knew exactly which person I was talking about. And he said that you've worked together before, and you know that's
Kind of
quite descriptive.
I'm a lot of things, but I can assure you I am
Absolutely
not
not.
racist.
Okay, so then did you misspeak? A man getting murdered based on the color of his skin, you called a racial indifference.
Can mean a lot of things. I did not mean I was indifferent to the situation.
I didn't say that you were. You said the situation, no, you said the situation itself was indifferent. It was a matter of
No, sir,
racial
I
indifference.
did not.
Okay, well, I guess I don't have it on video.
Let me see it. Let me see it.
I'm live streaming right now.
And
Good.
okay,
Let me turn the
so
camera on, yeah.
this all may just be a misinterpretation.
His
No,
attitude is
it's not.
his.
It's not.
So what-
Racism alive and well in this
I'll
town.
say what was actually said was, oh, okay. We were asking, I guess, what you guys thought about it. And
Yes,
Don't be shy now.
Oh, Mayor, I think we need some assistance.
Oh, is this the mayor?
It is James Young, Mayor of Philadelphia, Mississippi.
We'd like for you guys to leave.
That's tough. I'm not going anywhere. I'm doing my business. I'm engaged in a constitutionally protected
That's
activity.
cool. Just stay
So
right
don't
there.
tell me to leave. Like this is not a good look right now. I've spoken to a lot of good people in this town, and I came here for a specific purpose. James, name's Michael Schwerner means something to you, right?
Of course,
It does. You know well about that name.
of course,
You know his wife Rita?
of course.
You do.
Yes.
You have her number? You speak to her? Because I speak to her on a regular basis now. Okay?
You ain't got to come at me that way.
Let's
I'm-
let's ask some questions. Yeah, no. Would you be willing to answer some questions?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
but I don't mind. But don't come in this office with this mood. Y'all wanna.
This mood? What are you like putting on a show here today? You've never met Rita Schwerner, have you?
Yes, I have.
You have. When was the last time you spoke to her?
It's been several years now.
Okay. So do you know what her feelings in the situation are?
I don't know.
Let's start fresh
What
with
if-
the mayor. He just came out to talk to us.
I'm
Let's
just
start
coming
fresh
out
with the
here.
mayor.
Don't come at me like that.
Don't tell me what to do. All right. Where's the memorial for these three men?
See you later.
Not in front of city council like it was supposed to be, right?
See you later.
You could talk to him, but don't tell me what to do. You're not my daddy.
No,
I don't listen to
you're not,
you.
and you're not mine.
Thank God. If I was, I'd be disappointed.
And you
That's
also.
unnecessary comments.
No problem. I've never had an introduction to an interview like this.
You know what it
I've
is?
interviewed-
It's because of her comment.
No.
What was her comment then? You're saying it's not because of that, so you must know what her
can I
comment
interject
was.
for just a second? There was a comment made that didn't sit well with us, and I'll leave it at that. And maybe it was a misinterpretation.
I think it
Maybe
was
she
really
meant something different by it. Maybe she didn't. I'm not one to even say.
I got you.
But it definitely changed the mood and the attitude of it. And it wasn't just her. There was a couple other people that kind of got us like, oh, this isn't exactly what we thought we were coming into. Like people were getting very defensive in a weird way. And I don't. And I'm not trying to start a fight with. I'm just giving you my quick
I
perspective.
feel like
But
we're
I'd
being
like to start
hostile.
over
You
and
have
ask
to
you a few
understand.
questions.
If you come right,
We
I'll
did,
come right.
the first time.
Huh?
There was a black police officer here that walked out in tears.
I will not hear.
That's why I'm upset. This young lady, we asked, the summertime murders,
I'll vouch for
in
that.
a nutshell, what was it? What was it about? It was just some racial indifference. And she walked out of here thinking to herself, a man being castrated on the side of the road and tortured because his skin color was darker than someone else's, that's racial indifference?
Let me say.
Come on.
Let me say this. Now, I've interviewed hundreds of people. Hundreds of people have come in this office to interview me. Never like this.
Well, you weren't here the first time.
Well, it doesn't
Yet
matter.
you
I
got,
had
this
to handle
office
the
has had
business of this city.
65 years
I had to handle
to
the
get
business
it
of
together.
this. Well-
You think racism isn't alive and well in this community?
Could
I
be.
got the district attorney admitting to me on camera that racism is alive and well.
That's the DA.
I got the sheriff's department saying it.
That's the sheriff's
I got
department.
the county building saying it. And that's the county building. And then I have the comment made by this young lady. So you could see how any normal and reasonable person can interpret what she said. The police officer left in tears.
Well, let me
I
tell
will
you
be
this.
sure to call my coworker and apologize.
I would. I would.
She's my friend.
Okay, well, she was quite off put by it to the point where I film everything and I didn't film that out of respect of how upset she was.
Oh, please.
Oh, I don't know. She's from Germany. Her parents are in the military. She's
Sir,
not local to
sir.
here. She's very upset
Y'all
by the
wanna-
local and racial
y'all
division
wanna
here. I
start
seem to know
over,
her
y'all
wrong.
go-
Years, she knows her.
Okay, but
I
you don't listen. Don't share. Shh.
Well, you don't come in this office talking like this.
I'm gonna do what I want as an American. I'm gonna do what those activists weren't able to do: assert my rights and not get bullied.
Well, search your rights in a place different.
No.
Listen, I've been here for 16 years.
answer is no.
I've been here for 16 years.
Thanks for the request.
And really have served this community with my whole heart.
How long have you?
You
lived
two
here?
guys, let me say this. Now, I'm normally as calm as I can be because I respect what you do and what you say. But you didn't have to come that way.
What do I do? You say
Whatever
you
you
respect
do.
what I do. What do I do?
You say you're doing a report.
Right now, but you said, what do I do? Like, I know what I do.
You do
respect.
interviews. You do interviews?
No. I'm one of the largest civil rights activists in the nation, and I
cool.
try and find people that were left behind in history.
That's good.
Do you know there was another man in the car that night?
Don't know?
Wait, don't know, don't care, or just
No.
don't know?
This
Would
is
you
one
like
of
to
the big
know?
things that we're trying to find out. And so let me say one thing. So a big reason we're here is there is information that was not disclosed back in 1964, not in 1994, not in 2004, and now here we are in 2024, 2025. we're trying to investigate this new information. And what we get is people getting defensive that we're even talking about it. And,
Well, I can't help what anybody else does.
and so that's,
I don't know that you don't know. If it hadn't been disclosed, I don't know, because I have no secrets.
How would we know?
I don't know.
we're not accusing you of keeping this secret.
No.
We're just looking for answers.
I'm not saying you're a
Yeah.
gatekeeper or you're some evil mastermind trying to cover something up. It's none of that.
I got
You
you.
are a mayor. My extent of knowledge is to you is I know that you are no longer, that you're not in the primary. I've spoken to Leroy Clemens, a couple of other people.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard a bad thing about you.
Me neither.
So that is not the case. My issue is when I'm investigating something and I do it as if everything I've heard is a lie. Like you do. All the information that people were telling me, all these rumors, it's a lie. My job is to prove that is to try and debunk it. It's easier to debunk than to prove something true. And then every single person I'm speaking to is being super defensive, not downright rude. And then I have this comment, and we'll just give her the benefit of the doubt. It came out inappropriately. As you know, the black community is very divided from the white community's aspect of where history should be. One side is if we don't remember our past, then we are doomed to repeat it. And then there's other that we just leave it in the past. Where they don't want to move on, they want to move forward. And people can do whatever they want.
Absolutely.
But when I hear a comment like that, and I see someone
Absolutely.
that, and by the way, I'm going to add to my records request, I do have under Mississippi state statute the right to request a copy of her video.
That's true.
She's now created a public record while in the court. Well, mine's live. You can go watch it if you'd like. It's on accountability
So
for
how
all.
it works, man.
Pardon me, I didn't.
This is my personal cell phone.
Yeah, but
It-
you're doing it on record while you're on the clock, so now it's public record. And
Yeah.
That is true.
So now no, you can't.
delete it.
You
Now
can't
that- now
delete
you're
it.
Deleting public record. You can't do that.
I'm giving you an official notice of cease and desist not to destruct or destroy that photographic or video evidence. It's now subject to an official records request
Gentlemen.
protected under the Freedom of Information Act.
Gentlemen,
I would like your information where I can watch myself on video.
Absolutely.
Mine is the Random Patriot too.
Random Patriot
Yes, ma'am.
deal. Okay.
Nikki took.
Anyways,
where you from?
So I'm from Arkansas.
okay.
Yeah. And so we are genuinely here looking into an old case that we have a new not a new witness, but a witness that's now willing to tell us things that's never been told before. So we were just here, that's our whole purpose.
Right, I understand that.
But
But
why
if
we
it's
don't
never-
come at it like?
But
Did
if
we
it's never-
originally, or were we very
if it's
polite?
never- If it's never been told before, I don't know.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Well, we're not
we
accusing
were
you,
very
but
nice.
we don't know who knows what or doesn't know what, so we've literally went to.
I would like a
every
stamp of
public
that.
office today. We learned a lot of stuff today.
Okay.
I would
Something
like
we
a
didn't
stamped
know,
copy. Do you
we
stamp
didn't
your
know
records
you
requests
knew.
here?
But we asked you, now we know. Yeah, you
Stamp
know.
these.
So that's
Okay,
all
well
we
that's
know.
the same as this.
And that's the.
Yeah, you'll take that or I'll sue you and have you arrested for violating Mississippi's open records request. I don't have to do that. Okay, call your town attorney, call your district attorney. I can submit this request on anything, okay?
That's my sound piece.
Thank you very much.
Of dealing with whatever.
And here's this. You wanted this, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, here you go.
So
Here you go. Let me hand it to you. You know what it says?
we are trying our best.
got the information on
over
there.
years To be
Here you go.
equally fair
Famous.
and representative of all. Is it still out there as long as we
Yeah.
got black and white?
I'm sorry
that's
you're
all
having a
we
bad
do.
day.
Did you grow up here too?
Yes.
You did?
And if
How old were
want
you
filming,
when-
I'd tell you
I guess
why
that was a long time
It has
ago.
nothing
You must have
to
been
do
what?
with your-
Okay, well then I appreciate
Before
that.
it actually happened.
Ma'am, one moment,
It
please.
actually happened in the early
If you're having a bad day, I hope you have a
That's
better
actually-
one.
Okay,
I've heard some things
I'm not
about
asking
the
for,
records
like,
request, but
actual
ma'am,
but if you're
I'm
gonna give me,
speaking
like,
to
1 or
her
2
and I'm
cents,
being nice
what
enough not to
that
put her on
is,
camera
what
when I
that
do it.
means-
So can you
Like
stop?
what I'm looking for.
This is just
someone
a-
that's been here their whole life
Said that about
and
being
what
poor.
their
It's just a racial
thought is
indifference.
about that. And like, if I was gonna say what
It,
happened,
it doesn't make sense, right? It
Just looking
doesn't.
it up or googling it, and you just gave me an answer. What is that and what happened?
Right, and see, I don't, again, I was a child. I remember the words, I remember the talks, I remember the rumors. But that's about it. Now, as I got a little older, I remember what was what per se. But all this new witness and all this
But it's
stuff,
all stuff that.
You have an excellent reputation in this community.
I try to maintain
I
that.
know, I'm telling you because, as you can probably tell, I've done a ton of research into this, and one of the only times where race isn't a conflict where I look into something, whether it's the white community for the black community, they all have the same thing to say, that you're a Philadelphian through and through. There's nothing that you won't do for the city, and they're sad to see that you'll be leaving. And as far as politics go, they think it's a sham and it's a joke that other names are even present. And from doing my research, I would agree. I think that some are using their affiliation to this to try and muscle their way into office for monetary gains. I think the other one is just a power pull. My issue's not with you. I applaud what you've done for the community, but we came in here very polite, and if you call every building we've been to, there's no one that's going to say that we've been rude or we've been mean. We're simply truth seekers trying to find that. And when that comment was made, and then I was going to let it go, and then that comment was further supplemented by an employee at the sheriff's department, and then I thought back to my conversation with that police officer, and I could never feel how you feel. I've not experienced racism, so I can't even imagine how that feels. But I feel like I got the closest I could to it, witnessing that happen to somebody else. And the fact that one person can be treated differently just because of the color of their skin, 1964, let alone 2025, it makes my blood boil.
Well, again, coming to me in that manner, I walked out into tension.
But you came out and you took, to be fair, without saying, hello, nice to meet you, it's, you gotta go. And I'm not gonna have anyone, their mother, their brother, or their goldfish tell me what I'm gonna do on American soil.
I understand that. But that's why, the information, the context, the level of which the conversation was moving. My role is to keep peace, and I'm going to try to do that to the best of my knowledge, best of my skills and ability. That's all I was trying to do. Now, we can talk like men or not talk at all.
Well, I don't really,
Yeah,
to be
I'm
honest with
saying,
you, if I did bump into you, there's nothing I really had to say other than sorry that you're not gonna be
Okay, well,
going again. I mean, you came out and the first thing was, listen, when you're in a community and it's not the Stewart, it's not the Stewart Museum, it's not like the big, like, let's just call it is what it is. Those are not, like, when I ask every single person, Stewart Museum or the week-long house party,
We asked
that
people
is
about
not,
Philadelphia. That's the answers we get.
that's not the biggest thing that happened, right? It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a stigma.
True,
But if we stop teaching slavery in school, then how is that helping our kids? If we don't talk about the Holocaust, how is that helping us move forward?
It does
It's
not.
Exactly.
I agree, but again, and I'm this way about life. As you said, if you hadn't experienced, you don't know what that experience means.
Of course,
You
I
can
agree.
read about it,
I agree.
or you can listen to it, and or you can deal with it and do what God has put us on this world earth to do, and that is love one another and treat each other with the fairness and respect that's due one another.
I think you should call up David Goodman over at the Goodman Foundation. I'm sure that you've had a conversation with him. I didn't ask. And I think that you guys could have an excellent conversation because you're one of the only people that will talk about the fact that, like it or not, and I'm not saying it's this office or these people in it, to be perfectly clear, there is a division in this town based on race. I don't think it's the normal racism, that's a black person, I don't like them. I think because this race, I call it war, whatever it is, has been so defining in this community that people of one color or another are forced to be on the opposite side of the track. People like us, they come in, they do their story, they leave, you still live here. And every 5 to 10 years, you guys feel like this town is being dragged through the mud. That's not why we're here.
Okay,
I'm here
I'm good
because
with
an eyewitness says Michael Schwerner didn't drive his dad's car. Michael Schwerner and Mr. Cheney and Mr. Goodman took the bus because they were smart. They knew if they ran into some cops or some people that were racist, they had a much safer chance being in public transit. The FBI didn't report that. I only know that because I spoke to Rita and she told me I was there at that bus stop in Meridian because I lived there at the time. I was present. There was another man that was in that car. Now, for 60 years, whatever reason he's wanted to remain silent, he's remained silent, and I would be petrified if I was him because I could never live in his skin and understand that. But he's talking now, and he says he was in that car.
And again, that was not spoken and now being spoken, I'm just not hearing that particular persuasion or of that situation. So I don't come to say, I don't know that, hadn't been exposed to that. And I thrive on being somewhat of historian in the sense of knowledge, but also in the sense of experience. And again, I will back up and say, I'll listen, and maybe I should have listened before I told you to remove yourself, but that's my role as keeping the peace in this particular office.
You did nothing wrong.
Okay. I'm just,
Thank you. I'm telling you, you did nothing wrong. It's just that like this story is so old and everything changes. Like I spoke to, oh man, the gem she is, the granddaughter of Killen. And she said to me, I don't want to talk about it. You can read my book. So you don't want to talk about the horrible things your grandfather did, but you've now monetized it. And secondly, the interesting thing is, there's a gentleman that works in town as a lawyer, and his uncle was one of the people involved in it. Very fond memories of his uncle. Both granddaughters of Mr. Killen, very fond memories. How you can look at someone that could do something so heinous and have anything nice to say about them to begin with is unnerving. But there's new information to this, and we're not here to drag up the past. We want to give finalization. Did you know that the 3 activists were pulled out of the back seat of the car? Who was driving it? One
That's
man.
the big question.
One man got away, and he has a story to tell.
right, and I think he should tell the story, and have the courage to tell it. Truth is about being able to tell exactly what you saw and heard, but you have to understand where his stand was back in that time. He feared for his life.
Exactly.
So, racism is never fair, it's never equal, and it's never right. And no matter what we do, we can, hopefully this next generation will have some wisdom and understanding to go through this. We've never dodged it. I've never dodged it. I've always dealt with it face to face. But I learned that I can't rail on you because you're railing on me.
You can't change someone else's school of thought. If someone woke up as a racist POS, they're probably going to go to sleep the same way they woke up.
Could be.
Probably. So, hey, let me ask you.
Go ahead, Neil. I'm sorry. Excuse
I have
me.
one question, and if you need to do something. So I don't want to say that. I'm not asking. Do you think
Guys,
that divided the?
Let's do this right. Let's do
my
this right
last
now.
thing.
No. Let's do this right. Let me get through with this point I got. And y'all come on.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. All right, cool.
I mean,
Sounds good.
yeah, okay, let's do this.
All right, thanks.
Oh, do you want us to go and come back? Is it like a long thing, or do you want us?
No. Just a minute.
Okay. I don't want to interrupt. Those didn't always used to be here. Oh, this is my copy.
This isn't even.
No, that's just their, what is it, their policy? That's the open policy. I'm gonna keep this. Guys, put a 2 in the chat if you don't know who he is. And then I'll yell at you and make fun of you mercilessly.
You have that sheet of paper?
Oh,
You have a copy of all?
They gave me this.
Okay, I'll make a copy.
Okay.
If there's one single 2 in that chat.
Bro,
Oh my lord.
I have to go outside and tell him real quick. Hold on. Hey everybody, while we wait for the mayor to come back out, that's the Random Patriot. Howard Rourke, how are you, man? I hope you're well. This is the Random Patriot. Make sure you subscribe to him.
I hope the next time you go to your parents' house for dinner and your mom makes you the most delicious food that you've always had for your whole childhood. I hope she messes it up and it's not as good as it always was.
That's okay. You guys have a good day. Take
Sorry,
care.
I
I didn't know you were in a meeting. It's just I'm gonna mute this so no one can.
Do you think that the town?
I was just talking to that young man, so I muted the microphone. He was very, very nice. He's a very smart man. Do you know that young man?
Yeah, I had some acquaintance with him in his younger days.
Oh yeah, he is. He said something to me that I'm gonna carry with me, and he said, you know, you can't change people. You can only change time. Very, very, very wise beyond his years.
That's true, but see, in my other life, I'm a pastor, so I believe people can change.
You know, I would say the same thing, but Edward Killen was a pastor too. I think like
Yeah, but
I take people at face value.
you have to. But their face value does not. If you believe there's a greater power than we, then you have to think that there's something out there that we have acquired or did not acquire.
You know,
We can get into the spiritual side of man. Most people don't want to talk about that. But I believe people can change if they want to change, if they have the capacity to change. I think they can change.
let's talk about what if someone is truly evil? For example, Edgar Killeen. He went to jail and he wanted to change. Could a man that evil simply change because he wanted to?
It would have to be a tremendous effort on his part, and then nobody would trust the change
I think
because of the history.
I think a man like that can change, but even at his best, it's still not. Even if he changes the best he can change, it's still not going to be like a normal person should be. You know what I mean? Like everyone can improve, but you're stuck on your own spectrum.
He'd just be just basic
and his
evil.
right.
And again,
His spectrum is way over here, and he can never be on our spectrum, but he can mess around on his own spectrum.
each one of us was cut from a different fabric. What makes you tick, what make him tick, what make me tick. It is the will of mankind, or God's will, that we become as one. You white, I'm black, or whatever, and not use that as a pry bar against one another, to not use it as a way to push somebody down based on the color of the skin. I've said a long time ago, racism is one of the most ugliest things in this world today.
Well, it's dangerous because it's equal opportunity.
It is the most divisive. It is the most evil of things that we can practice. We can talk about, but racism is a choice.
Do you think it still exists in this town?
Oh, it still exists in every town. In
Well, I don't mean on its basis. I don't mean like, I know every town everywhere has some
That's
local
my
Yahoo
question.
that's a racist piece of crap, and I get that. But I mean, do you think there is at least a prevalent level, and I won't just say racism, but at least racial division because of what happened?
That's a hard thing to say at this junction. In my experience, I can say there's always going to be pockets of it. But again, I was elected 4 times in this city by red, yellow, black, white.
That's a good point. You can't say it's full blown if the mayor's been black for the last 4 terms. But
That's
that is
been me.
a great question. Is
You
not normal racism, but is there any like are you ever gonna find 2 people arguing over who is really the bad guy and all that? And
That's what I think it is.
are people split? Is there any kind of split decision on this in town?
I can't speak for anyone other than James A. Young.
Have you at least witnessed?
Not me. Not since, people ask me from California, New York. I've been interviewed hundreds of times. How did you get in this office? I got in this office because people wanted to change.
What if it's because they
Okay.
wanted to show, for example, the Green River Killer got away with, and I'm not comparing you two. Just
Watch out now.
the Green
This
River.
reminds me.
Yeah.
He got away with what he did for so long because he wanted to prove he wanted to pass himself off as something he wasn't. What if people in this town? I'll show you I'm not racist. We got a black mayor.
Well,
And I asked that because when I came in and I said, I think, and I basically flat out said, the comment you made was racist. I spoke to someone else who works at the sheriff's department. They said, basically, you're racist. I think that you're racist. And then the exact return comment was, why don't I go get the mayor? Big shit, excuse my language. Now you're a preacher. Big shit eating grin on her face. And I already knew the mayor was black. And I was going to say, is he black? Like, it's like when you say to someone, you're racist. I'm not racist.
I have a black friend.
I have a black friend. Like,
we understand that facade.
Yeah.
We understand it. But we talk about getting over that. And we look at what some of the words Dr. King mentioned, that can you choose this guy based upon his character and his well-being versus the color of his skin.
yeah, I remember that well.
The majority of the people these last 4 terms has looked at my ability and not the color of my skin. Now, I could think if I've just been a one-term, that they said, well, we just
had him for
we just had him just so we can see
our token mayor.
a token mayor. But 4 terms.
Are you the first black mayor?
Mhm.
Really?
He is, yep.
So what I'm saying is
That got covered by the New York Times.
that's correct.
So 4 terms. Excuse my
That's
math.
16 years.
So
I'm on my end
we're
of
talking
the 16 years.
2011, 2010 was the first black mayor.
That's correct.
2008, it was actually
That's insane.
right after the
dude.
trial wrapped up that he started running and then he blew them out of the water.
So
And you've been here ever since.
I've been here ever since. So I have a different take about how that process. You know what I'm saying? I call it divine, but I call it people making a change in their mindset. A majority of the people's community. Now, Philadelphia, Mississippi is average people in the South, and my election sent reverberations all over the United States and the world, really. And I did not realize that it was that big a deal.
Well, even your election win was encompassed with the summertime murders. I mean, if I remember, and I'm just paraphrasing, mayor of the summertime, first black mayor in the summertime. It was. There's a black mayor, but it goes back to this town, and
They attached it.
They
Well,
attached it.
yeah.
And when I went to the church, we went to the Mount Zion Church, and it was I could feel it. I could feel the energy. And then never in my life, it's one of the greatest achievements I've ever been able to coin, standing in front of the old Neshoba jail, knowing that Dr. Martin Luther King stood right there. I mean, he says, I have a dream that one day my children will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And it's just so weird. I feel like I'm in a multiverse. Like, you got a Confederate statue here, and the Confederate statue is overlooking the Freedom Trail marker of where Dr. Martin Luther King stood. And that's why it's like, I feel like some of the people here don't even know. Like, I feel like they want to be where they should be, but they've been defined so much by what has happened that
Well,
they're divided subconsciously and subliminally.
Well, one of the I guess probably
Great way
the
to put
worst the thing that happens is, and I'm not saying everyone that comes to gather information, many of them are not gathering information for the pure purpose of gathering information. They want to see again, have we changed?
Well, it's not
Has
as
the core of that man's soul changed. And I can only gauge by your actions what your inner man thinks. So, my time in this office, I've had to ask people, have you been threatened since you've been in office? No.
I was gonna ask that.
Now, let me tell you something.
I'm sure you've heard the worst of the worst running 4 times.
Let me see, 3 days after my election, I had 4 FBI officers in this office. 4 FBI. They came to this office because apparently somebody in the next level said, go check on this guy.
Oh wow.
And they asked me that question I just repeated to you. Have you had any threats since you've been in this office? Not anywhere in this town. Now, maybe somebody wanted to, but a negative letter or negative whatever, now, they come at me because they might not like a decision I make as mayor, but it has nothing to do with this color of the skin. So,
So what drastically changed? Was
I
it
think the
the
concept of them actually looking at the character of the person that they knew. And see, my election was nothing new about my character. I'd already served as the first black county supervisor in the community for 14 and a half years. And I also was a local paramedic at the local hospital.
You earned everybody's trust at that point.
Can there be something to be said that, I mean, for example, we're talking about 2010-ish. Why does it take so long to elect a black mayor or to elevate a person that is African American? I think, and this is what I've been trying to explain to people, as hard as it is to dredge up the past, because every day when you walk out that door, you do business, you speak to still, because I've done a lot of research, the victims' families and the suspects' families. And either way, they each have to go out like, I have to wear my relatives, my ancestors, I have to wear that.
Absolutely.
I have to deal with that.
Absolutely.
And I think as much as people don't want to talk about it, Killen going back on trial, I think that might have been a big wake-up call. I think that formulated people's mind to say, well, listen, it's not as small town as it used to be. Neither are the people, nor are the politics. This has reached a national level. It was kind of maybe one of those aha moments where it's like, okay, maybe we have to sit down and look at it. Because I don't know how you can say that, like, I could not say, if I had someone in my family that was so blatantly racist, I could never tell anyone else, he was a great dude.
True. And you would be right. But you come from a different cut than some of that who agrees with everything somebody does to them because they're kinfolks. You know, but well, blood is thicker than water. But let me tell you something. If the blood is wrong, the blood is wrong. And we have to have enough knowledge of truth to acknowledge that this is wrong. Maybe, you know, with all the rhetoric that we go through, and I've heard a lot, I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot. And sometimes it's the pure rhetoric that people are giving out that doesn't allow us to sit down and analyze how we feel about everything that we deal with in America.
You know
Not
what
only
Hitler?
in Mississippi, but in America.
You know what Hitler used to say? It doesn't matter what the message contains. It matters how polarizing you are when you say it.
That's correct.
If you have the right delivery, you could, and you were polarizing enough, you as a black man could turn all the black people racist against the other black people. The message is polarizing enough. I mean, look at Nazi Germany. It's just the message needs to change and evolve over time. And like I said, I can never know what it is to be in your skin, to be in that family's position. I was almost moved to tears trying to imagine when we pulled over to the side of the road, envisioning what those men were thinking. I know what Michael Schwerner said. I remember his last words very vividly. You would not be, that's very kind of you, sir. Like his last as he's about to be shot in the heart by one of the most evil men in America, the very last thing he said was something nice.
Well,
I can
see why you say
I
that.
understand the way you feel, or something.
I understand that you feel that way. Yeah.
yeah, and again, that inner part of man's motives. You know, we throw the word out evil, we throw the word out good, based on some foundational things that's ingrained in us.
Nobody thinks they're evil, so
No.
it's all perspective. And I'm not saying that there is no evil. And
Oh yeah, but it is.
it's all perspective. I'm just saying in their head, like no one's like, I'm gonna be evil, and I'm the most evilest guy there ever was. Like no one is thinking that every morning.
Right.
In their head, they're justifying every evil thing they do with some kind of positivity.
Yeah, and again, if you say it long enough, sometimes no matter what you say, if you hear it long enough, your mind has a tendency to click and say, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
And again, I've stood between two forces that continually tries to divide us. No matter your mindset. How old are you, if I can ask?
37.
37. Now, if I had another 100 million folks with your mentality,
You'd have a lot of pissed off employees.
no.
Am I right, Mary Young?
But what I say was,
Oh, dude.
you have the opinions, you have the unction, but if I'm reading you right, you have no evil context behind it.
I just hate whatever it is.
Right.
And I'm not saying I
That's the way to
don't
put
care
it.
about skin color, but I don't care if it's you're being prejudiced against because of your skin color, or if you are white and you're being prejudiced against because you're poor. I hate when you absent of who they are, what they've done, where they've been, where their struggles lie. You are willing to demean and in some cases ultimately take someone's life because of a difference.
That's correct. And that's why I said we have to be taught in a way and exposed in a way for reality of life. Now, I've never been under the impression that I'm living in a fairy tale land. I live in Mississippi. I try to make Mississippi the best Mississippi I can. I know I'm just one, but I'm one who can try to have an example of what it needs to be like, even when it comes to the political side of this office. Let me say this, and this is what you have to deal with and know that you have to deal with. I told a group one time, I have to be very careful. Cannot be too black.
Yeah.
I have to be very careful because my history would dictate that to every white man, I got to get even with you about my history. We have to separate that. And down through the years, that's what my mentality has been. You know, I come into this office, I don't owe you nothing but to treat you right. I don't owe you nothing. I don't owe you revenge for what happened in 1964.
Either way, right. For either.
I don't owe you revenge for the slave trade. You weren't even born. I wasn't either.
Are you the first black person to run for mayor in town?
No, that was a lady a few years back. She ran.
Was that prior to the trial? In
Was
04?
it prior? Probably. It may have. Wait a minute. It may have been prior to the trial. Maybe a little after. I don't remember
Just curious.
that because I was in the county. I was representing the board of supervisors during the trial. The second trial. So I didn't come into this up again 09, 08. I started running in.
So I wonder if you hit on something as if a mindset kind of changed in this town. So one thing, I was trying to think of a really good analogy because everyone keeps saying they don't want to talk about what happened here and it didn't even like let's pretend it didn't happen and let's just move on. But would you say that about, and this isn't the best analogy, but it's the best I've come up with so far. Would you say that about like 9/11? I know it's like a drastic change, but for example, you wouldn't say let's just move on and forget about some catastrophe. Is what I'm getting at. Some
Right.
catastrophe happened and it actually changed laws and it changed movements and like it created a whole thing. So why is everyone's mentality, let's forget it and pretend it didn't happen?
Well, I think if you go through, you always gonna have some, not necessarily in denial, but they hadn't got to the point where they can actually articulate it without emotionally getting charged with that particular
It's
incident.
understandable.
And again, I'm a little different. I try to learn from incidences, because it was my ancestors that were lynched and was beaten just because they looked at a white woman or whatever. In my natural mind, and I'm using the natural mind of me, I owe, in the natural mind, I owe you some, as I say, some of the same things that they did. But I've got to separate the here and now from the back then in a way that I don't carry that anger and that emotional scar too far. Now, I can't forget it. You never forget when you treated differently because of the color of your skin. Back in my days as a paramedic, I had the information concerning the patient. I treated the patient all the way to a certain hospital. I'm not going to call the name. I walk in the emergency room. I'm not the driver. I'm the medic. And I've had people look to my driver because he was white and getting information from the driver. And one of my drivers said, "Ma'am, you need to be talking to him." The perception of what is the norm or what we think is normal is what fuels that. The perception he can't be in control of this patient's life because he's black. And I'm used to seeing black drivers and not black paramedics.
Is that maybe a reason that nobody even ran for mayor other than a white person until 2000s?
It could be because we were being conditioned to just run for what we thought we could win.
Right.
I just hope that, and
You
like I
understand what I'm
said,
saying? Yeah.
I do. I've never heard
Yeah.
any bad things. I hope they voted you in because you were the man for the job, and it wasn't the killing trials on Mississippi Burning 2.0. It's time to. Did you ever meet him?
I think
No,
What about Cecil Price?
no, not that I know of.
So you haven't had to have any run-ins with any of.
No.
I know that you've dealt with you've had through your mayorship, you've had to deal with family members and descendants of some of these people. For the most part, without being specific as to each or which person, how do the people that are related to them feel? Because the only ones I've spoken to are a couple granddaughters and the guy who says old uncle that castrated an innocent black man was a heck of a guy.
Yeah. But you still have to understand that mentality. No, none of that has been thrown my way.
But they don't. Do they carry that still? Like, or is it like
you know what
we
it
don't
is?
we don't like him? What he did was. I haven't seen any family members yet say what he did was
Well,
terrible.
I have the best analogy for this. You ever live in a town that has some kind of factory that stinks up the whole town?
Yeah.
Some people pretend they can't smell that stink. Some people pretend that
Willful
I don't
ignorance.
really have a paper mill 2 miles down from my house, and I can't smell those chicken farm. I guess around here there'd be a lot of. I have that where I live. I can't smell all the chicken houses in my town. So a stink was left from that, and it's how you behave. Do you? I mean, can you acknowledge like, yeah, it stinks? You know, like, am I the one causing the stink? No, but I can acknowledge that the stink is there.
And the reason that is probably a good analogy is because of the actual actions of that day that put a scar on the United States of America
Yeah, really.
and the state of Mississippi.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We don't have a great past. I mean, like we gained freedom. We enslaved a massive part of the population. Like, and people like, oh, you know, Abraham Lincoln, he freed the slaves. Like, without the slaves, they don't win the war. He was making a business decision. He wasn't making a humanitarian decision. Like, we have a very scarred and sordid past. And it seems to be the question is like, when do we get to the point where it's been long enough? Right?
I don't. History, as long as it's etched in history, when you read it, when you sing about it, you're going to feel the emotion of that time.
I stood at that church. I about lost my mind.
We will never.
Exactly. So we should. That's the whole point. We shouldn't forget about it.
You will not.
Because everybody it all circles back. The guy that works in the tax collector's office, literally, comes out. He wasn't even part of the conversation. Comes out. Hey, forget about it. It's in the past. Like if I ever said to an African American man or woman, and I said, oh, you know, slavery. I feel that still. Like I can understand the struggle of my ancestors. And I said to them, stop talking about that. It's in the past. We're talking about two very similar instances. The reaction from each would be drastically different. And that's where we're talking about racial equity, but the disparity is inequity.
Well, that's true. And again, we talk about when will it be no more? And my word is
never.
It will never.
Because hate is one of the most powerful things in the world. It's almost as dangerous as hope because it will never truly be extinguished.
That's right. And when we look at the incidents that created the history, and that's why you can't forget your history. Now, what that history does to you is two different things. I know a lot of people can't watch racial movies. They get angry. They can't watch the slavery pictures. They get angry. Does it affect me?
I landed at Medgar Evers Airport. I got angry.
Yeah. So
no bullshit. I wanted to go down to DeLay Beckwith's house and burn it.
But the thing about it is,
Really burned it.
you find that everybody's gonna look at things different. And let me say, now Miss Connie is one of the best people I know. I wasn't there, but I'm gonna leave that at that. And y'all have to understand, and I will apologize if I come out strong, but if you come in my yard messing with my children, I'm going to be as high as you are till we can calm down. And that's what we're doing now. Understand what I'm saying? And that's just the reality of human nature.
What she said was horrible.
Well,
and the fact that she doesn't realize or didn't realize when she said it, like,
I think that's what makes it bad.
That's what makes it even worse. Like, you and I could be friends. Like, she's like, oh, we've been friends for years. You and I could create a great friendship. And after I do this video, I don't just cut and run. I believe in what I do. Mm-hmm. I used to live on the streets. I was homeless. I was addicted to drugs. I changed my life, right? And in 10 years from now, if I say something racist to you, it doesn't matter really that we've been friends. I still did something wrong, whether I noticed it or not. If I did it so nonchalantly that I didn't notice it, that creates a problem. But when you say something like that to somebody else that affects them in such a way and you don't even notice that it happened, it's nothing against her. It's just the desensitization, and you mentioned it before, you're so used to it, as not you, but as a community, we're so used to people coming in and doing something this and this and this. It gets to the point where, like friends, I used to have a lot of friends OD, and I felt bad the first couple times. But when I got a phone call after my 20th friend overdosed, it's like, oh, another one? It's not because I don't care. It's just because I'm so exposed.
True, and sometimes when you're exposed or desensitized to what's going on, or even the way we speak, I always try to measure my speech. And if I come across harsh or authoritarian per se, that's just been my thing.
You didn't do anything wrong, which is when you came out, it was, she made the comment she made, we were really, really nice, we left. If we were looking for an altercation, we would have stayed. Then another city employee reports to us something that she had done for her behavior as far as racial tones go. And then I come back and I'm met with an immediate confrontation after I just spoke to that poor woman. And it's just like enough is enough. And then the ice on the cake was, she was like, oh, you want to talk about racism? Let me go get you our mayor. Like, big old smile on her face. And I knew why. And she went to go get you. And then I said on camera, yeah, it's because she wants to show us her black mayor. Like, and I still now, and you know her better than I do. You've known her longer, so you would be a better judge than I am. And I would have to just defer to you on your judgment. But the reaction that I got was the same example. Like, I'm not racist, I got a black friend. Like, she couldn't wait to show you off. She could not be racist because you were black.
No, but the again, I've been around them for the last 14, 15 years. And they know I'm for real, but they know I'm also fair. And they know also that they don't have to put on no front for me. I don't put on there for them. I don't think she just wants, so no, she probably.
I think she was just pretending that the town didn't smell like paper mill or whatever.
Yeah, I mean.
That was the big thing, and it does smell paper mill. Don't tell me that it's not paper mill. I smell it.
Right. And so,
If someone tells me I'm racist, I'm calling Mayor James Young.
Yeah.
I'm not, because are we friends now?
no, we've been friends.
Okay,
I
sorry.
thought he was gonna say no. I was like, no.
I'm a civil rights activist. I'm not going to say I got a black friend, but that's what I feel like I've been getting told all day.
Well, and coming from where you come from, in that part of interviewing and meeting people, yes, that's a normal scapegoat word, but in these ladies' cases, they don't play that.
I'll defer to
I-
your judgment, because you and I are very similar, as is he, in the sense that you can't talk me out of seeing who you are.
No.
Right? I can smell bullshit from a mile away. I can look, and the whole time we're talking, I'm literally looking through my sunglasses. I'm watching your facial movements and how you're posturing yourself. And I think that we're very similar in the fact that if there was bullshit to be had, one of us would have spotted it. So I take your word for it. I would like for, there is someone that is no longer with us, that is a wonderful, wonderful person. And she gave quite a bit to this community, and I'm not going to say for respect to the family, but gave a lot to this community as far as civil rights go, as have you. And I think that it's time that some of this, I don't know how much of it is pretend healing or how much is real healing, but I got to tell you, Mississippi is easily the most racist state. It's, and I feel like we had a good lull, like mid 90s, early 2000s. There was tensions seemed to have dissipated. There was a lot of camaraderie, and then I feel like, with the good of this trial comes the bad. Killen walks into court, and you have every single loose nut Nazi propagandist like outside storming the gates. It's with the good comes the bad, equal.
Equal, and I think I always tell people, it's not necessarily the incident, it's how you respond after the incident. Whether it's dealing with how I respond to you, how you respond to me, really tells the story of who I am. And I teach this all the time. People gonna offend you. People gonna step on your toes. They're gonna disagree with you sometime in a way that you have to take a deep breath and think before you speak. That's my approach to dealing with my emotions up front. And I always tell people, and I ain't telling no joke, if you can't get along with me, your get along is dead. Because I'm not gonna take away from who you are. I'm never gonna belittle you as a man or person or whatever, because I remember what it feels like to be looked over, passed through, and even sometimes stepped on. But I never let that hinder me from being successful in my mind. I've got to exceed this, not to prove anything. My intentions when I first ran for mayor, my intention was winning. But I knew if I didn't, and this is what I said if I come within 100 votes, I'm running again.
Oh, cool.
Because my mind was made up to represent the people. And so it didn't matter that you called me whatever. And let me say this. In my first run, I run against a very prominent guy. At that point, I felt like he was unbeatable. And lo and behold, I won. The seasons was right. And I always attributed that to how I approached. I went all over this town, knocked on doors.
I did the same thing when I ran for office,
You know.
shaking hands, kissing babies.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't. You don't run on an idea. You run on a person. If I'm buying a car, I'm not buying the car. I'm buying the person that's selling it.
That's it. So, and I run into people who was strong supporters of him, and this is what I tell them: I understand. That's your friend. That's the person you grew up with. Why would I frown up and say you're making the wrong choice? That's your choice. And but in politics, a lot of times people don't take that approach, and that's the approach I took, and it has done me well. Now, some other people might decide this ain't the way I would do things. Well, I always say this: that's you, but this is the way we've done it, and we've been successful. And whatever reason for that success, some divine, some people deciding, give this guy a chance.
I think in some cases, you take any issue and it's just time. And I know you're past closing.
I'm good.
We're gonna. One quick question? Did you see Colleen at the trial? Did he show any remorse? I've yet to see someone not on TV that was there, face to face.
I didn't spend any time at the trial.
Okay.
I mean, I was.
I saw a video online and it looked like it's been 60 years. Like, why? You're wasting my time. Like, the black guy's been dead. Why drag me out of my house? I was watching Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, you weren't. She's black. But he still said it. He said, I was watching Oprah when they came to get me. The fuck he was. Excuse my language.
But again, that's that mentality. Ain't no explaining that. That's the, you know, I guess most of our issues about when we see it, we know better, and we want them to change.
We
But
want people to change in our speed is the problem.
That's it.
And your expectations, people's expectations for themselves are always going to be different than your expectation for them.
That's correct.
Because people can create excuses faster than they can do anything else.
Absolutely. And so we sit here today talking about the feelings, the tension, all that. And again, history, when you see it, you look at it and say, Yeah, I remember. And I think sometime, I'm not making excuses for anybody. Sometimes people don't want to relive that experience.
I think
Maybe
every
that ain't
time
it.
you relive it, you lessen the chance just a little bit that it won't happen again. And even if that chance is minuscule, if that doesn't happen to another child, regardless of their skin color,
That's right.
like those men, 44 days. And I looked at a picture of Cheney's family. You see the two little kids sitting in the back seat of the
Mhm.
big long Buick Skylark. And then to see them as adults, like they were not afforded the opportunity to adjust. Being a black child in 60s Mississippi is already beyond impossible to accomplish. Then to throw that on you, grow up through it, and now, like other people in this town, now you're defined by that.
Mhm.
So
And that's the definition that nobody wants. And I remember doing just a little talk one day during one of the memorial services. And I know we said that these men gave their lives. And I stopped them.
they weren't given, they were taken.
Their lives were taken. And you have to take them. I used the, I forgot what the name of that movie that was filmed in Canton a few years back. Anyway, what the lawyer said, I want y'all to close your eyes.
I do.
Anyway, he told the jury, I want y'all to close your eyes. And I told him that day, I told him at church, I said, I want y'all to close your eyes. And I said, I want y'all to visualize possibly what these three men went through. Beaten, sweaty, bloody, painful. And I said, that's the power that racism brings to our nation, to our community. It's ugly. It's evil. I told them that to say, look, if you don't want to be a part of this, don't let your mind wander. Because this is what it looks like, whether it's those three, or whether it's the Holocaust, or whether it's someone in Georgia, in North Carolina, hanging from a tree. You read it, but you don't visualize in color.
You don't try to put yourself there.
Because until you do, it makes tears. I mean, we talking about 60 plus years ago. And it still brings tears to my eyes just talking about it today. It is powerful. And it's nothing to be toyed with, even after 60 years plus. You wonder why we feel the way we feel. It's because we see it. We visualize it. And so some, when you make them visualize, it's too painful for them to articulate anything other than I don't want to talk about it. And I'm telling you this today because this is the way I feel sometimes. But I learned if I don't tell you my true feelings, I'm not giving you the truth of what it is. And when it comes to this, when it comes to civil rights, when it comes to justice, I'm going to give you my true feelings. I'm not afraid to shed some tears because it was painful to them then, and it's still painful to me today. But know this, I'm not going to hide in a hole and ball up in a knot in a dark room. I'm gonna remember what they were striving to accomplish. And this is where we missed the point. This is where we missed the boat. We forget the pain, but also we forget what they were striving to accomplish. Now, my role, since I wasn't there, I've got to make sure I'm in a part of that which they were striving to accomplish. And that is participate in the political realm, go out and vote.
That's exactly what they were doing here.
That's it.
Full circle.
Yeah.
So this is what so sometimes they can't put that full picture together like I just did. So they'll tell you I don't want to talk about it.
I think I've seen that with some of the people that I've spoken to about, more so in the black community. I have got that. And I will send you a copy of some of what I'm talking that is not meant to be aired, that is just for your own edification, where it was more annoyance. It was more like, no, we're not talking about that. We're talking like, it wasn't this painful thing. Like I went to the Mount Zion Church and I looked and I had my camera rolling. I wasn't live. And I said, same thing as you actually. I basically said, imagine you're in here in a place of worship, in a place of God. You're also talking about your right to vote. You're ready to be brave. You're ready to stand up. And the next thing you know, cowards in masks are setting you on fire, beating you, like, because you can't really understand. And even I could only feel the emotional charge for doing what I do and believing in it, from standing in that place. I knew, even when I went to the burial site, I was not prepared for it. I was not prepared for the feeling that left. That right there, like the feeling you get, I was not prepared to be standing in the same place as MLK.
It might just be me, or it might just be you, but I felt something there too. You know, it's weird.
Well, it's not weird. It's transcending where you stand and going back to why.
Trying to put yourself in the. I actually, like you were just explaining, actually putting yourself there, closing your eyes. Instead of closing our eyes, we just went there. Instead of closing our eyes and imagining we were there, we tried to go there.
And
that's a great point.
so if we can understand, and again, if you can go there in your mind.
I don't want to.
No.
Right.
I know you don't.
It's one of the most horrifying. That's why I'm so mad.
Well,
It's because if I know as strong as a person, I've been stabbed, I almost died, I was homeless, I used to be into drugs. I have survived some of the most awful and seen some of the very worst of humanity.
Mhm.
And if I was in those men's position, I would not have been able to be brave. His last words, he knew he was going to die. I'm scared to. And I think that if we come out of our shell and we are willing to talk about it, we might not be willing to go there, but we might be willing to understand.
True, but
Did your parents talk about it?
they did.
More.
We were not sheltered from reality.
Well, you couldn't be. Your family had to make sure you were prepared,
Yeah.
because anytime you left the house as a young child, you could be killed for no reason.
Yeah. So this is and again I go back and we all kind of go in a circle. There are those again. It's not that they're running. It's
Well,
they cannot.
They're
They cannot.
pretending their town doesn't smell like chicken shit. Is all it is.
Well,
And
yeah,
and that isn't even to say that they're a bad person for that. Like, if you come over to my house and it smells, like, I'm gonna pretend it doesn't smell. I don't know.
Well,
Like, you don't want it to smell like chicken shit, so
No,
you're gonna pretend
but-
it doesn't.
true.
And I'm not trying to say your town smells like chicken shit.
No,
It's
I
just a bad,
understand. I understand.
bad
His
analogy.
does. It's
Not-
his
not where
breath
I
in the
live.
morning.
Shut
That's
up.
why his whole town smells like that.
But what I want to say is, your parents talked about it, right? Probably more so than maybe you talk about it.
True.
Do you have children?
Yes.
How much do they talk about it? Less than you?
Good bit.
Less than you?
No, they talk about a good bit. She's an educator, so
Okay, well,
she understands.
maybe not the best
the
example, but
importance
then,
of,
but then their kids. How much are they going to talk about it? And then their kids, how much are they going to, especially if we have the mindset of, it doesn't smell in this town, quit talking about it. Well, all it takes is a couple generations and and it didn't even happen anymore.
But you still have the history of what's written.
But people
All
rewrite
portion.
history every day
They do it, but
to their own satisfaction, their
that's
own
true.
means.
But the history of what happened to those men, irregardless of the where, the how, the what, never changes. Now they may fluff it, but how can you flush? How can you fluff murder? You can't. So
You can call it manslaughter.
you can call it manslaughter. But same difference.
You can get lucky and go to jail with Cecil Price went for.
Kind of like six in one and half a dozen in other. But the reality of it is, it still is what it was. The problem again is how we react after. And I often wondered why it was such a cloud over the state of Mississippi and Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, South.
You're smack dab right in the corner of all four of them.
Yeah, so, and if we start digging, you dig up the same foolishness.
Right.
You dig up the same racism. You know, I just
Muddy
happen
out
to
the
be born.
waters.
I just happen to be born in the state where it's stuck on the wall like it's undeniable. This incident created a whole wave all over the world. So we just have to understand, and I guess you guys understand that there are those who they just not gonna talk about it.
I think that's a really good way to sum today up, was this conversation that we just had, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether we came to a final conclusion or not, it gave really good perspective on everything.
Yeah.
And that's what I said earlier. I try my best not to avoid. I have no reason to run from the history. I just try to make sure that my mindset is properly set after reading it, after experiencing some of the offsprings of it, that I don't leave with that bitter, hateful, resentful, revengeful mentality.
I told my daughter about what happened. Once I started investigating the story, I was reached out to. I started doing all my 4 months I've been working on this. She's 12.
See my stuff.
We're ready to go. But in the mind of a 12-year-old, she said, I don't understand how any one person can do that to another daddy. And I said, you know what? I don't either. But we appreciate it.
Oh,
Thanks a lot, man. I'm starving. It's time to go to dinner.
We'll meet you over there. You want to get something to eat?
I gotta go home. My wife is cooking.
All right, we'll meet you there.
You guys have a great day.
Take care. Thank you very much for your time.
Sorry for making you stay late.
Oh, you the man that.
All right, folks. So, I mean, I can understand why. Well, I mean, I think that there's some things, and he's probably watching because they are in the back. He's not being. I think it has to. I think he's not admitting enough. He's not admitting at all that racism, like every single town employee we've talked to, has admitted to us that the racism and divisiveness in this town is, it's still very much alive. It's effervescent. If you're not subscribed to The Random Patriot, go do that. We've been filming all day, and without this guy, I would be nowhere. I was good at doing research, like behind the scenes, but all the stuff that we did, the B-roll, the places we went, the questions we asked, that was all at his direction, and none of this could have been done without him, which is why I thought he was the perfect person to do it. And to the unnamed gentleman or young lady that is behind our visit here, thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for that of your families. There are a lot of questions that will be answered in this documentary that we're working on, but I think it's going to also cause some more questions.
And that's the reason we stopped.
No, you mother fudger! Thanks everyone for being here, and until next time, I'm the Random Patriot! That's the reason I stopped you today.